The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Welcome to this week's episode of Work the Left Side. I'm joined this week by RP Davies. RP Davies is a former boxer from Blackpool, very successful boxing career. Shit happens, and then he segued over into wrestling. Obviously, we talk about that on the show. You know what happened to make him transition over. We also talk about him meeting William Regal, Regal coming to his gym when NXT UK was in Blackpool a few years ago. The stories to be told there, sort of an ongoing relationship with Regal as well. Just an all-round awesome guy, to be honest with you. He's just the enthusiasm he's got for wrestling. He's loved it from childhood. And now it's finally, now he's getting a chance to do it. Thanks to his boxing career kind of thing, it helped him segue over. And yeah, just thoroughly enjoyed recording this episode. Guy's awesome. Hope you enjoy it as well. Hope it comes across really well on the episode. Hope I do him justice. So watch, enjoy. Don't forget to hit like, share, leave us a comment. It just all helps with the growth of the channel, and let people know as well that we're here. So thank you for watching. Enjoy the episode. Ryan's quality, and we'll see you soon.
Here we are at Work the Left Side. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 23, and I am joined by the awesomeness that is RP Davies. RP Davies, how you going, man? You right?
Good, mate. I'm good.
Awesome.
Very nice introduction, by the way. I liked it.
Yeah, I've got to big people up. That's what we're here for. It's like as we were saying before we started recording, man. There's plenty of pie to go around.
There is.
There's no need for people to put other people out to pasture or just belittle or whatever. Just big people up. Their success is your success. Yada yada yada. So yeah, why not be nice?
Definitely.
So, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on. So I know we've talked quite a bit, sort of interacting on social media and stuff quite a lot, but it's nice to actually get to talk to you face to face, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, I kind of obviously thank you for getting me on the show. I do appreciate that. It's nice to be able to be asked to come on things like this. So. Yeah, all I can say is thanks, pal. Thank you.
Well, I think as well, given that we're currently in the semi-finals of the Euros and it's currently the second half, I think we can both be commended for recording this episode.
Yeah. We've both been relegated into the kitchen by our missuses, so we're doing really well.
That's how it's commitment to the cause, man. That's what it is. It's drive and dedication. So, obviously, talking to you. Primarily because you're on the wrestling scenes now, but it's not always been the case, obviously, has it? I mean, anybody who knows anything sort of and knows about you knows your boxing sort of background. So obviously, was that your first true sort of love, your passion, or was that kind of?
I think so. I mean, I've always had a kind of a dual love for both, in a weird way. My granddad and my dad were both involved in boxing, and so it's been a family kind of tradition. My dad boxed in the army in World War II. He was involved in boxing then. My dad became an amateur boxer, and obviously it was a great passion of his. And him and my granddad and my dad used to watch it a lot when my dad was young. And then when I was born, I kind of got brought into that a little bit, and I used to watch the fights from a very, very early age, really early age, with my granddad and my dad. And it was just kind of just a thing in the family that I kind of really wanted to be a part of. Now at the same time, I was involved. Obviously, from a very young age, I liked combat. I liked fighting, and that's what boxing was. But then I started seeing, from a very young age, these multicoloured superheroes running around on TV, like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan with his red and yellow and everything, and I was drawn to that as well, because as a young lad I didn't understand there was a difference. I just thought it was fighting, and and I really got into that. And obviously, as I got older, my granddad, who was a lot more old school than me, kind of tried to tell me that boxing was the one I should be watching and not the wrestling, but I always did. I always did, and I was always a big fan. And something about wrestling always drew me in. So I'd be lying if I didn't say I've been a massive fan of both from a very young age.
That's it. I mean, that's like you say, from a young age, they're both as legitimate as each other. To a kid watching, both, like you say, they're both legitimate forms of combat and both legitimate forms of entertainment. They're both spectacles. I mean, boxing, when it's done right, is huge. You've got the same sort of audience, the electricity. So, and well, obviously for like UFC, boxing, and wrestling, it's all very close knit. Obviously, wrestling is sort of it's the third cousin removed, because obviously
I think it is. I think it is. However, now I've done it. Now I've actually I've, like I say, always been a fan, but now I've actually participated in it. I still have, I have that respect for it even more so now, because for me it is as legitimate as any other combat sport. Obviously, it's different. There is a difference that we all know. There is a difference, but nothing not real about some of the stuff we're doing. And it's been. I've said this before to other people. It's one of the hardest things. I've been involved in combat sports since I've been 5-year-old, and this is one of the hardest things I've ever done by shot. Some of the things I've done in the last 2 years have been the hardest physical things of my whole career. So only nothing but love and respect for wrestling, and more so now that I've actually done a bit of it.
That's it. I mean, obviously, like I say, boxing, getting hit in the face is going to freaking hurt. But on the spin side, you've got the repetitive bumps, you've got this, that, and the other of wrestling, which is, so I think obviously you that now, because you've trained, you've done it, you've had matches. Where somebody from the outside looking in, I don't think they can grasp that. That's the problem. I think you've got to do it to appreciate.
I think the realness of boxing, and obviously the intent of boxing to hurt somebody, because ultimately that's what it is. That obviously is that is the draw to a lot of people, and that's where they would probably disengage from something like professional wrestling if they were big fans of it. However, like you say, there's so much that goes into wrestling, and the opportunity for injury, in my opinion, is greater, because you're doing so many things that you could hurt various parts of your body rather than just your body. So like I say, I love boxing. And again, it's probably my first love, and I will always love that sport. And it's been so good to me. And everything that's ever been good in my life has come from that sport, including wrestling. Wrestling was an opportunity because of what I did in boxing. But at the same time, I've always said, and I think anyone who's ever talked to me understands that I have ultimate respect for the wrestling business. I love the wrestling business as well. And since doing it, it's really opened my eyes to how physically tough this job is.
So how did it come about then? Did it was it somebody? Did you approach somebody to start classes? Did somebody come to you and sort of say, have you thought about making the jump over?
No.
How did you go from one to the other?
I had a I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but I had a successful boxing career. I'd won title. Hiya.
Sorry, mate, it's just a little man's bedtime. Say hi.
Hiya.
Look.
How are you? Oh, that's a t-shirt. I like that. Hey, look,
right. It's got Captain America.
There you go. Spirits, man.
Sorry about this.
Boxing is rough alive.
Yes, mate. Lucas.
I don't want to say that.
Right, speak things, bud. Sorry, dude.
That's all right. Yeah, like I said, I had a successful boxing career. I was an unlicensed champion, British champion, in 2 different weight divisions. I then turned professional, and I went on I had 13 pro fights, and I won 12 of them, and I picked up a professional international title while I was doing that. I got myself into the top 20 in the country, and things were looking very good. I always worked alongside my dad. My father was my coach, and we were a team, and it was going really well. And then basically you have like a yearly medical for your boxing, and I had a brain scan, and my brain scan come back with a change on it. So I walked into it, and ultimately that's something that happens very often in boxing, because you are getting hit in the head for a living. And I could have continued. Truth be told, I could have continued. I didn't have my license taken from me. It was just a query that I had to answer. But looking at the risks of it, it just kind of opened my eyes to the risks a little bit more. That there's something had happened, and I was about 2 months, a month away from my only child, my daughter, being born. And it was just the first time in my life that it just wasn't about me anymore, and it was about it. I had other things. I had other things that it'd always been about my boxing career and how far I could get and all that sort of stuff. And it just really opened my eyes. And boxing isn't the sort of sport you want to be in if your heart's not fully in it. Too dangerous, and I respect it too much to go in not at 100% in my mind. And more mentally than physically. I would have always had question marks. I didn't want that. So yeah, I stepped away. I was understandably devastated. I dedicated a decade of my life to it, and things were looking good, and it was looking ultimately like we would have got where or certainly near where we wanted to get. But it didn't happen, and I went into a little bit of I wouldn't say depression. Depression's a strong word, but I was very downhearted and wasn't myself for a little while. And then I got saved by a man called Johnny Brannigan, who is a friend of mine. I've known him a long time, and he happens to run Grand Pro Wrestling in Wigan. And he knew I was a big wrestling fan, and the reason he knew that is because when I used to box, I always came out to the ring to wrestle in entrance themes, and it was a bit of a nod to my friends who were massive wrestling fans as well, and it was a bit of a so they could have a bit of a laugh before I had a fight with somebody, kind of thing. He rang me up and he said, "Right, I know you've retired and everything like that, but have you ever thought of doing any pro wrestling?" And at first, I kind of knocked him back and said, "What are you talking about? I'm 5'10", Johnny, and 12 stone." I said, "Like, what can you do with me?" And he said, he come to me. He said, "Listen, you've had a legitimate fighting career." He said, "And you've done well." He said, "There's a lot I can do with you." He said, "There's a lot of stories we can tell with that." He said, "So it's up to you." So I had a little think about it, and ultimately, it was just the kick up the arse I needed, because I'd kind of give up a little bit on any sort of physical exercise training. I'd given so much of my life to that, then for it to just be kind of snatched from me, that I wasn't even resembling the person who in my mind's eye I saw myself as. And so I thought, what, this could be perfect. It gives me something to get back involved in that I have a genuine like for, something that would interest and spark my interest again. And I did, and ultimately it was meant to. I think at first it was going to be like a one match and out thing, and just say I've done it, a bucket list ticket. But I just found myself falling in love with it. The training, the understanding of the business side of it, and obviously the understanding of what goes into putting a good wrestling match on. There's so much that as a fan I wasn't aware of. And that's it really. I just just fell in love with it, and I see myself doing it for the foreseeable now.
Well, that's it, man. You've got stuff lined up as well. Like, you obviously you managed to, like, you've come into it. Obviously, there's this reputation about you as well. So I know, like, Wrestle Island, you know, when when they announced you, they made out, you know, they've made you like a huge star to their like audience.
Yeah.
So you're coming into there with a bang. You're coming in, you know, with like a reputation, and like looking legitimate kind of thing as well, which is awesome. But you've also got a tag team going on, so it's not like you've just kind of coming in, you're working by yourself. You've managed to get yourself like create a tag team as well, with the Outlaw, and you've got that going as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, was that you two mates prior to this, or did you kind of get put together?
I'll go through both of them. Like I say, it's all happened so quick. I mean, I've only actually been involved in wrestling for 2 years, and the first year just blew past, and I was putting quite high profile matches straight away, you know, and it's been very unconventional because I had to learn on the job very quickly because of my crowd support from my boxing days. They were coming to the wrestling to kind of support me, and you know, they couldn't exactly just put me in the first match of the night and that, you know, because it was a massive amount of people coming to watch me, and so we've had to jump straight in and get involved in quite high profile match. I think my second match was the main event of the Grand Pro Wrestling show, which is, I mean, you know, Grand Pro Wrestling, just in my opinion, but I think to a lot of people, a really great Northwest promotion, and they've been around a long time, and put great, you know, high quality shows with some of the best talent in the country on. So for me to to just kind of come in and then be put in a main event within 2 matches was ridiculous. I was very honoured, but I had such, you know, I knew I had to live up to some of this stuff, which was almost impossible because some of the guys who are around nowadays are so talented. You know, for someone to come in who'd never done anything like that before, it was always going to be tough. But we have kind of made it work, and the matches we put on the crowd have loved them, and you know, I think that's what matters in pro wrestling. I think as long as you send that crowd down happy and give them what they want, you know, that, you know, that's for me is the main part of pro wrestling, you know, and so the crowd are the most important part of pro wrestling, and so that's what we've tried to do, and it's really worked. So that was the first year, and then the pandemic hit, and it kind of stopped me in my tracks. I was on this real good roll at GPW. I'd wrestled for a few other companies in the Northwest, good companies like Pinfall and In and Out Wrestling and stuff like that. And I was on a roll, and I really felt like I was getting my groove. And then the pandemic hit, and that slowed me right down. It slowed everybody down. But what I've tried to do in that time is rather than, I mean, to be fair, I could have walked away then. I could have probably thought, well, you know, as time went on with the pandemic, and once it became apparent that it wasn't going to be over in a week or two, you know, I could have probably said, you know, I'm 34 now. Is it? Have I had my fun with the wrestling, and is it time to thingy? But I've done the complete opposite. I've tried to use this year to just improve and in every respect, in every area. And so, you know, I've worked with Chris Brooker a lot on promo work, and we've done a lot of work over the last year, and he's been a massive help to me. And again, I'd recommend Chris to anyone aspiring wrestlers who want to get a bit more confident in the talking and the speaking. And he's certainly done that for me. I've trained religiously right through the pandemic. Obviously, I've not been able to do it with people the whole time or most of the time, but I've ran, I've lifted weights, I've got involved with the Train with Nush program, which I'm sure you've seen. There are a lot of the pro wrestlers in the Northwest are getting involved now, and again, phenomenal trainer, and just been brilliant for me. And it's really given me something to kind of go at while this has been going on. And and in my opinion, you know, I've put like nearly a stone on in that year, and I certainly feel in much better shape, and I feel like I look more like a wrestler now than I did before I left it. And then I've done all the little silly things, like I've bought loads of new gear, and I've designed loads of new gear, and had loads of ideas, and watched shitloads of wrestling to try and get ideas, and watched shitload of films and TV series and things for ideas of how I can kind of develop my character now from this kind of one-tone ex-boxer turned pro wrestler, and how I can kind of start showing an evolution in the character. And I think people notice that. I do think people notice that on social media. I've always been quite active on there, and I try and sell. I always try to sell my boxing to everybody, but I've tried to sell the wrestling, and I'm very lucky. I've got people who listen and will watch, and I think, going back to your original question, Wrestle Island saw that, and I've had my eye on Wrestle Island for quite a while. I'm quite aware of how popular they are in that area, and what great shows they do. But what really drew me to them was I saw what they were doing with the community, and Wrestle Island are very big on charity work and giving back to the local people. And at this stage in my career, this stage in my life, I mean, that, if I'm being completely honest, is truly what this is about for me now. This gives me an outlet to do good things, and that's what I want to do. And as soon as Pete at Wrestle Island approached me and spoke to me about what his plans were for me, and obviously the work that he was doing, it was a no-brainer, and I just jumped straight in. But I can only thank Pete and Wrestle Island for the massive, like you say, it was a massive build. I've got to live up to it now. I've got to live up to the build, but like I say, it was a massive build, and I say this with confidence. I don't think I'll let him down. I don't think I'll let him down. I think I can become a big name for Wrestle Island and for their fans, and I certainly will give everything I've got to kind of live up to the expectations that he's put on me there.
Well, I mean, the big compliment, which kind of goes into my next thing, but when Wrestle Island announced you, kind of thing, I know it flagged up on Regal's radar, because I think Regal retweeted Wrestle Island, announcing you on the roster, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that automatically, puts eyes on the product. Which I was going to mention, because obviously doing my research, I was looking into it, and I saw a few articles about when Mr. Regal came back to obviously Blackpool, your hometown, represents, and obviously came to your gym and put you through your paces a little bit, looking at the pictures.
He did. I mean, it was just a ridiculously surreal moment for me, because as a fan, I've been a massive fan of all wrestling, but certainly the WWE for since I've been a little boy. And obviously with William Regal being billed from Blackpool, it was just someone who I always had a connection to via the TV screen. And I've been interested in his career, and it's not me sucking up to say, but he's been phenomenal, hasn't he? He has been phenomenal. And what he's gone on to do after his career, in terms of the management role and the actual training side of things for a lot of the biggest superstars that we know, again, incredible. But when NXT came to Blackpool, I'd got involved, but I was involved in wrestling at that point. I just had a friend involved in the boxing who happened to be friends with him, and that's how that came about. He said, I know WWE here, my friend William Regal is here, would you like him to come? I was like, yeah, of course I'd love him to come. So he came down to my gym, and I genuinely thought it was just going to be maybe a picture in the ring with our little fists up, boxer meets wrestler thing. And the local paper came down, and he took a picture and everything. And then he says, "Oh, so you're doing a bit of wrestling?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing it. I've just started really. I've been at it a few months." And he said, "Right, let's see what you got." He just put me in a headlock. So I'm in this absolutely surreal position of being in a headlock by a hero of mine growing up and not knowing what to do. Do I do I physically get out of it and insult him, or do I not get out of it and really insult him because of you know. So we kind of got through it, but I mean, he was fantastic, and I mean, he's such a great guy, and he gave me loads of advice. He went over all the basics for me, and you know, he's just a phenomenal guy. We ended up going as his guest then to the NXT UK. We went backstage and everything like that with him. It was phenomenal. But you know, I've become, I'd like to say, I've become friends with him now. You know, and we talk via email quite often. You know, and he always asks me for any of my wrestling stuff, any of my matches. He looks at them and he gives me feedback and he gives me ideas and what he thinks I should be doing and stuff like that. And I mean, again, what an amazing, just like almost like a childhood dream come true, really, to have that, you know. And he doesn't ask for anything for it. He doesn't ask for anything for it. He just seems to be genuinely interested in what I'm up to, which is, you know, again, a massive compliment. And I've been dead lucky because obviously away from William Regal, I've got the chance you know, since I've started wrestling, I've done some training with Johnny Moss. I've done some training with John Kenny. These are, you know, legends in the sport. I've got to train with and I've become friends with Sam Gradwell from Blackpool, who's a WWE NXT guy, and numerous other guys. T-Bone, who's NXT, you know, and they're just tremendous guys, and they've all really tried to help me. And of course Johnny from the start. You know, Johnny was a very, very excellent pro wrestler. You know, from years ago. Ever since GPW started, he still does bits now, but he helped me out as well. So I've just been very, very lucky, Nick, to have very, very top level guys helping me out. That's the only way I can explain it. You know, if you want to get better at anything, you surround yourself with people who have done the job and done it well. And I've been lucky to really be able to do that because some of the guys that I've got the chance to train with have done it at the highest level. So yeah, just a massive honour, really. Just a massive honour.
I think it would probably reflect in the respect that you've got for the business as well. Obviously, that shines through whenever you're talking about wrestling. You know, talk about, you know, watching it as a kid and stuff like that. So these guys can see that you. I'm not obviously speaking for them, but I would only presume, you know, that they can see that how genuine you are, and the respect for the business, and they just want to help you.
I hope so. Because I love pro wrestling, and you can tell. I think when I'm talking, there's like it in me comes out a little bit, you know, because I've got so many good memories of being a kid, staying up watching Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in a Cell, and these were big milestone moments in my life.
Yes.
And now I get a chance to do it myself, and as I say, the wrestling is phenomenal, and I love it, and I love telling stories, and I love the training that goes into it, and I love the whole thing. But the biggest thing for me is the fans. It is, and that's not to suck up. It's not to think. I'm not talking to anyone directly. I'm just saying what it is. The best feeling I've had is them kids cheering and screaming, and the adults that I've seen after it and everything. You know, they've been phenomenal, and I remember being that little kid in the crowd. I used to go watch wrestling live since being a little kid, and I remember what that felt like. And to be able to give back even on a smaller scale like I do, that's what draws me to this, and that's what I want to do. I want to try and do good things before I can't anymore. You know, and that's really it, mate. That is it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the genuineness of like the whole persona that I was on about, you know, and it radiates. Like I sort of said, you know, you can tell when you're talking about wrestling that it's something that you are enthusiastic about. So, and Trav Regal, man, sort of giving you little hints and tips after, you know, watching your matches and stuff. You can't really, you know, get better than that. To be fair, the dude's one of the best technicians in the history of the business, I would say.
And I'm not just saying it. I'm just saying he's a gentleman. You wouldn't know he has been as successful as he is by speaking to him, because he's just so normal. He's just so and so humble, and yeah, just a very nice man, ridiculously nice man, really. But yeah, I just
How did?
very very lucky.
Yeah, it sounds like well. Hopefully, it continues. How did the tag team come about then with yourself and the Outlaw?
So as I said to you, when I joined up with Nush to try and, I really wanted to. I wanted to, knowing when I was coming back to wrestling, I wanted to look different, and I wanted to also show a lot of my peers in the wrestling business who, and nearly all of them have been absolutely great with me and have really took to me, like you say, because I think they know that I have took it serious. But I wanted to prove to them that I am taking this serious. This isn't, just a little. It's not a cash grab. It's not for money. It's certainly not for money. I do it because I enjoy it, and I do it because I genuinely respect the business and want to do well at it. So I've really put myself into this physique course to try and make myself look more like a wrestler, and I threw myself fully into that. And there was some really top guys who'd done it. That's why I got into it. So like Big Guns Joe was a big influence for me. I'd seen him that he was on that. A guy called Rio, who's a good friend of mine who wrestles for GPW, and others. And anyway, I got involved in the course to try my very best to be as good as I could be, and I met Ricky there. That's how it all come about, really. And the weird thing about this is I had met Ricky before at a wrestling show. I'd wrestled up in Chester. I think it was Chester anyway, In and Out Wrestling. And he had been on the show, and I met him backstage, and we shook hands as I try to do with everybody when I meet new wrestlers or anybody in the business. And that was it. It was very brief, but apparently I made a good impression on him, because he apparently said, "Isn't he friendly, Ryan? Like God, he came over and he whatever." But that's just how I am, Like I don't really know any different than that, The show, when I look at a show's a team effort, and whether it's my match or the 6 or 10 matches that happen after it. The show's only good if the whole show's good. It doesn't matter if your match is mint and the rest of the show isn't good, then people just remember it as a shit show. Whereas, and vice versa, by the way, if you have a load of good matches and yours is rubbish, they'll probably remember your one. Do you know what I mean? So you want everyone to do well, and I genuinely do want everyone to do well, because it makes it better for all of us. So anyway, I met Rick, and we got talking together on this Train with Nush course, and we ended up doing like a few of the live workshops. So you kind of go to Nush's gym, and you go through some of the workouts with him, kind of observing and making sure your form's correct and everything, and just very very naturally we ended up teaming together. We were kind of doing partner work in the gym. Because he was my sort of fella, he was around my age, just a nice fella, easy to talk to. You could tell everything he was saying was honest, and we just kind of bonded there, and it just kind of grew from there, because as part of this course you're kind of involved in like a social media group and like a WhatsApp group and stuff, and we just kind of ended up cheering each other on and on our highs and lows throughout the course, and got talking, and we talked about life and stuff like that, and we found we had a lot in common, and that's when the wheels started ticking then for what we could possibly do. And this is when this idea of Born Ready come together. We're from very different backgrounds with me and Rick, but he's very similar to me. It's a strange thing. We've got different backgrounds, but he's so like me in a lot of ways. And I honestly am really excited, really excited about this tag thing, because I've never seen myself as a tag team wrestler ever. Like when I got into it, the only thing I wanted to do was like singles and stuff like that. And I still have massive ambitions as a singles wrestler. Like I still want to do loads of stuff, and like you say, Wrestle Island are promoting me that way and whatnot. But this is just something different, and not only is it different, I'd be doing it with someone who I genuinely have a great appreciation for. I really like Rick. He's become one of my top mates in life, and he's so nice, but he's so good as well, and he's helped me. He's helped me progress as a wrestler. So I feel like I'm learning from Rick, and that's it really. I just think it's a very positive. It's a positive bond we've made there, and something that I think will take off. As you've seen on social media, people seem to be behind it already, and if we can keep that momentum going, who knows where it can go.
That's it, and you've got the gear. Gear's awesome as well. So massive shout out to 13 Apparel.
Yeah, well,
that just looks awesome.
Again, that's Josh at 13 and 10. I mean, he approached me when I literally first got into pro wrestling and about being one of his sponsored athletes, which again massively honoured with, and just the top bloke, isn't he? Top bloke. His gear's great, love his gear, but I'm happy to promote him because you as I said to you, you want to see good people do well, don't you? You should want to see good people do well anyway, but. When the tag team thing got settled with Rick, he come to me straight away and said, "Would you be interested in me doing some entrance jackets?" I was like, "Yes, I would, Josh. Yes, I would." And he's absolutely smashed out of the park. They're amazing. So yeah, just so excited to get back to it now. Can't wait to get in front of a live crowd again, and I'm looking forward to working with Rick. I really am.
It'll keep it fresh as well for you, because you sort of say, depending on which promotion you're in, where you're working, you can have a different dynamic to your matches, to how you work. You can, you're going into one as a singles, you're going into, this other show as a tag team. So it'll help you.
That's one of the main factors in my decision to do it, is because, I've adapted very quickly. I've had to adapt very quickly to this business, and I've still got a shitload to learn, and I'll always have a shitload to learn, no matter how good I got. I always have more to learn because that's how complex this business is. But the one thing that I lack majorly is experience, and that's what I need, and I need reps, and I need matches, and I need all sorts of matches, and if I can learn alongside someone more experienced than me, like Rick, and do something different that I've never done before, it will ultimately make me a better performer all round, and that's what it's about. I want to be good in every area, So, like I say, we'll see where it goes, but I'm very confident. Confident that things are going to go well.
I'd be very surprised, if it doesn't quite, if it doesn't hit the ground running, kind of thing. If we're not talking about you two guys holding a tag title, in 12 months, 24 months time or something.
I hope so, mate. I hope so.
Yeah, like I say, I'd be surprised if it don't work out. I mean, that's the awesomeness of British wrestling as well, though. It's like, because we've got so many different promotions, and you can work within a certain, it's like territory kind of thing. Is you can go to one show and just be the single star. You can go to another show and be the tag team. It's like you used to see Rampage and T-Bone in PCW as a tag team more often than not. Then you go elsewhere and you'd obviously see them both working like singles. It just helps develop.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is. I mean, me and Rick talked about this as well. I don't. We've talked about it properly because, by the way, Rick is a phenomenal wrestler. Got an unbelievable look to him. I mean, looks like an hard bastard. He is an hard bastard, but he looks like an hard bastard. He works great as a heel. He works. I've got nothing but respect for Rick. And I think Rick will be a big star, and would have been a big star with or without me. But I do think together, I think we can do something quite special. Yeah. And I don't see us so much as a direct tag team, as more like a faction, exactly like you just said. I see me and Rick being successful in different promotions singularly, away from each other. But the promotions that we do team up together, I think we can. I honestly think we can make an impact on the British tag team scene. I really do.
It could be like the Outsiders, or when Trips and Austin became the Power Trip.
Yeah.
Two singles guys.
Or something like that.
Top of the game. Just
I mean, that's very high praise. That's high.
that's the part I'm setting you, man. I was like, it could be like, it could be a little bit higher. I could say, end up being like the Mega Powers. You have to practice the handshake.
That's it, mate. No, but yeah, like I said, I'm just excited. I'm excited for it all because do I still want to do single stuff? And does Rick still want to do single stuff? Of course we do, because we've got ambitions that way as well, you know. But the tag thing, it's just sometimes you just come across something and it just naturally works. And we've never had a match together yet. We've trained a lot together, but we've never had a match together. But people just seem to be responding to us, you know, and that's whether that be fans, which is fantastic. That's what we want to do it for. But even fellow wrestlers and whatnot, they're tagging us in their shit because they see that there is a hype building, and there is a hype building, you know, and we've just got to keep trying to fuel that. We've got to keep fueling that fire and get as far as we can. But I think we will. I really do.
Slight change of pace. How are you finding? I mean, if you don't want to go into too much detail, you know, but how are you finding the politics of wrestling? I can imagine that being quite a shock to the system from when you go to like boxing. You know, it's very straightforward with boxing. You're fighting this guy, you go out, you fight. You know, whoever wins kind of thing. I presume there'll be a bit more politics within the wrestling world, within promotions, within established guys.
Yeah,
not feeling threatened, but you know, being a bit like, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, well, how's the best way to put it? I mean, firstly, boxing. I love boxing. I had great memories of it. But as you go into the boxing world, it is as corrupt as fuck. You know, like it's all to do with money. Everything's to do with money, and so it isn't. What happens within the wrestling world, the politics, as you sort of call them, you know, it's not as big a shock to me as you would think. Because, yes, the fighters in boxing are all fighters, you know, we show up and we fight each other, but it's more the kind of the management and the people, the suits behind the scenes, the judges, the refs, the boards, the committees. That was painful, you know, certainly at pro level as I was going on, you know, it isn't the lovely sport that sometimes it's portrayed to be, you know, on TV. But anyway, when I went into pro wrestling, was there a bit of that? I suppose there was. Yeah, I think there is a little bit. There's a little bit of that in everything, no matter what you're doing. If you're working in a telesales office, there's a little bit of that. You know, people trying to push themselves to the front. But you know, again, I don't want to. I'm not about being negative anyway in life. I'm just not, and I can only be grateful to pro wrestling and British wrestling because the people who I've happened to come across have been fantastic with me. I mean, Johnny, I owe Johnny. I always owe Johnny. He was the first guy I come across and just brilliant with me. You know, Ricky, great guy. Become very good friends with. You know, everyone who I've met within the pro wrestling business so far has been great with me. Have I had a few issues? No, I wouldn't call them issues, but these people that I've got, I'm not stupid enough not to keep my eye on. Of course I'm not. But overall, everybody's been lovely. They've been very welcoming, and yeah, long may that continue. Because you know, I said to you before we went live on this. You know, I'm not about conflict now. You know, I'm not getting old by any stretch, but I'm old enough not to want to do childish games with anybody. If anyone's got an issue with me, just say it to me because I certainly will to you.
Best way to be.
Yeah. And that's not a physical thing. I don't mean that in a physical way. I mean, if you've got an issue,
no.
We'll
face to face.
Yeah, we'll talk it out. Listen, that brought me up, and that's how I think people should be. You know, I think that's where a lot of us go wrong. We do a lot of this behind. Well, not some of us do a lot of this behind people's back, and you know, it can only lead to bad things. You know, the best thing is be straight with people, talk normal, and everything will be fine.
That's it. As long as you talk like adults, mature, face to face, say what you've got to say, show hands, You know, it's done.
Just to reiterate there, everyone I've met within the wrestling, I've met some really great friends, and they've been really nice to me. Really nice to me. No, there's no one I could single out that's been you know, directly against.
I wouldn't ask you to do that anyway. I won't be like, let's have a use of twat. But that's the thing. I mean, again, though, hopefully it's the name, you know, that you bring as well. You know, because as we were saying before, help other people elevate, make them better. Hopefully, people realise that your name will put more eyes onto the product because you're going to be bringing some boxing fans over with you.
Yeah,
they'll appreciate that. So
again,
welcome with open arms.
I've been very lucky because like when I started for GPW, I think I was bringing my first 2 matches. I think I brought. I think it was 150 the first show. 150 people come from Blackpool, drove to Wigan to watch me wrestle, and then the rematch that I had a couple of months later, 180 came, which is a lot. You know, a lot of people. It really is a lot of people. You know, and travelling to things. And you know, I got put quite high up on the card on both them shows, but that's because there were so many people in the crowd. But as I've explained, that's not to steal anyone's spotlight. That's to shine a spotlight on people. You know that might have had that spotlight. You know, like so. If you've got 180 new eyes in a room, that's got to be good for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's like
good for everybody, hasn't it? You know, like never mind me. If you know, a lot of my fans or a lot of my supporters are people who have children, and they bring the kids to watch because obviously it's a family show and whatnot. These kids become fans of them wrestlers. They might not have been to a wrestling show before, but they become fans and they want to know when they're on or what other promotions they're on. You know, not that I'm not necessarily on. You know, because them kids have become fans of them particular wrestlers. So yeah, I'd like to think I'm helping a little bit by bringing somewhat of a different set of eyes to the product.
Yeah, which we are. I mean, it's not. But obviously, the numbers you've just mentioned, you know, they're probably, you know, figures that wouldn't have been at the show, you know, normally. So those people go, they have a good time. If everybody delivers, they go away happy. So like I say, the kids will have there's certain wrestlers that they latch onto straight away. I know when I took my youngins to wrestling shows years ago, kind of thing, they'd always be like, they'd love the more comic characters kind of thing, or you know, the sort of the comedy relief characters. But that's what they're there for. It's, you know, it's a circus. That's what the kids like. So it gives them a chance. Yeah, exactly, man. It's like
and like I say, just to finish that point, you know, I run a lot of kids classes, boxing kids classes back home. So when a lot of these kids come to the shows and watch the wrestling and whatnot, and then they come to my boxing classes, you know, back in Blackpool. A lot of them have become genuine wrestling fans, which I think is amazing. But they're not, you know, it's lovely that they support me, but they're not just supporting me. They become wrestling, so they go to promotions I've never worked for, and you know, and that's great to see because them new eyes are becoming fans because of the talent on these shows. You know, the better talent than me, by the way. But that's kind of the point, you know. But if we can get them eyes on these people, that everyone's stock goes up, doesn't it?
That's it, exactly. It's about getting the eyes on there, then it's up to everybody else to make sure the eyes stay on them. So, how do you find? Obviously, I presume you're still running the gym. Is that sort of your 9 to 5? You know,
that's my main source of income. Obviously, me and my dad run our boxing gym out of Blackpool, and we're very lucky because we had a lot of support when I was fighting. A lot of them have followed me over to the gym. You know, the kids have got involved, the adults have got involved. I've got adult classes, I've got kids classes, I've got all sorts. And a big thing for me and my dad is we really target everybody for that gym. So rather it just be a boxing gym full of really hard guys who want to become elite fighters, that's not really us. I think boxing can be for everybody, and whether you're overweight, underweight, small, large, tall, doesn't matter. There's a place for you. There's a place for you, and we've got some really good fights in the gym, and we've got some guys and girls who will never fight in their life, but that's not the point. They're getting other things from it. They're getting self-confidence. They're getting fitter. They're getting more kind of body positivity out of it. And again, as I've said to you, I think that just links back to the wrestling side of things. That's what my dad's about as well. But that's what I'm about. I want to do good things. I want to try and do good things, and the gym is a place I'm very, very proud of because I think we do.
It sounds like it's very community driven, which obviously is the vibe I get from you. Like you sort of saying, you want to put back into the community, you want to give back to those that have provided, kind of thing.
Listen, these people have travelled all over the country to watch me fight, and continue to do so, to watch me wrestle in a sport that they're not even very familiar with. By the way, they've become familiar with it, but because of just the support from me. But that people deserve time given to them for that. If people are willing to give you time, you give it back. You try your hardest to make it worth the while. So I always have, and I always will.
That's awesome, because nothing irks me more than a sense of entitlement. Which is this is the farthest thing. This is like the other end of the spectrum kind of thing. This is people, obviously. You get the people who've got that sense of entitlement that just don't give back because they're just entitled to people's time and money.
Exactly. I don't get that. I really don't. Like, if people are willing to part with their money to kind of support you, it's just a no-brainer. You've got to not only like that, but also try to make them feel appreciated and make them understand how important that is to you. So yeah.
Your dad's jacked, by the way. I saw that picture you put on the social side by side. I was like, wow.
There's got to be somewhere one day that we can somehow draw my old man into wrestling. If I could just get him to run into the ring and spear somebody just once, it's perfect. But he won't do it. He's too proud. He's too proud for that. He won't do it. But I'm working on him. I never thought he'd come and watch me wrestle, but he does. So we're breaking him down slowly but surely.
That's it. Just one off. We'll get there eventually. For Best as well. I would be amiss if I didn't address this because this generally pops up. Last few people I've had on the show, I've put it on Twitter as well, where I need to do an episode at some point just about the crossover appeal between wrestling and obviously comic books or MCU and that kind of sort of stuff. So I'm going to mention it in the sense. You always been a comic book fan? Is it just since the MCU kind of kicked off with the films?
Again, since a little boy.
Yeah.
My first toys. I'm pretty sure my first ever toys were them Chewy Spider-Man, Batman and Superman. I got all three. I got the trifecta: Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. It's like a Chewy toy, and it just did the same thing again. But I think you've actually discussed this, but I think there's just a massive correlation between comic books and pro wrestling. I think pro wrestling is real life superheroes for people. Even the colours, everything, the face paint, costumes, the characters, the goodie, the baddie, good versus evil. I think it's just like kind of a live reenaction of comic books, and so I think ultimately we all love that story of good triumphing evil. I think that it's the classic tale of everything. It's the original story, but I think that is what pro wrestling is.
Yeah, fully agree. I spoke to Robin about it a few weeks after. I spoke to Laurie. And it's that kind of, it's the larger than life characters, it's the color, the action. And as you just said, man, you broke it down perfectly in the sense of it is what Wrestling 101 is, and that's at its core, it's a story of good versus evil. Any good wrestling match should be good versus evil. Normally, you've got the underdog who's overpowered. You know, it's a challenge for him to overcome the baddie kind of thing. It's just a kind of something that I've picked up more so now, because I think it's like our generation. Obviously, people who get into wrestling and stuff who are obviously comic book fans back in the day. But I think the MCU as well. I know some people that have never read a comic in their life, but they love the MCU and they love that appeal to it, just because of the likeness of it.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. I mean, again, I've always been a massive fan, but I mean, as I've got older, I used to read comics and stuff when I was a kid, and I used to watch all like the old animated cartoon shows on Fox Kids and all that. But as I've got older, I mean, it's just exploded, hasn't it? You know, like, and the MCU particularly, but even before that, it was starting to get big with like the original Spider-Man films and stuff. But then the MCU, I think it's just become this thing now that it's just unstoppable, like a rolling snowball that's getting bigger and bigger. And it's brilliant, isn't it? You know, like what a story the MCU have told over
12 years.
24.
It was about 12 years. Was it like 2008 to... Oh, yeah, 10 years, sorry. To tell that storytelling, man, that wrestling should be looking into, obviously not over a 10-year period, because people retire and shit, but, you know, just looking at, having a start, a middle, and an end to a feud.
Exactly, and just like pro wrestling, to link into pro wrestling, the MCU's a variety act. There's comedic characters, there's serious characters, there's something for everybody, and that's again where the link is. But you know, I watched Loki today, which is completely different. You know, the latest episode, just, you know, I won't spoil it if you've not seen it. I won't spoil it, but it's just completely different to anything else they've done, I think. So bravo, because that's what a bit of change is what you need. You can't have the same thing all the time. You've got to mix the product up, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, exactly. Which ties us back to you working singles and tag teams and stuff like that. You keep it first, you mix it up. So what's the goals going forward? Obviously, I know I mentioned like having a tag title within 12 months. Obviously, you've got your debut at Wrestle Island coming up.
I've got a few like starts. So I've got my debut at Wrestle Island. I've got very soon, man. The first match is going to be for Odyssey Pro Wrestling in Morecambe, which I'm really excited about. Really excited about. They're a new company, but I just got a really good feeling about it, because the Morecambe fans are meant to be absolutely crazy for it, and that again, I said to you, that's like the biggest draw for me. The biggest draw for me is making the crowd go home happy, and if we've got fans who are invested, that's so much easier to do. And so my first match is in 4-5 weeks now against Scotty Rourke, which I'm so excited for. Scotty's a tremendous talent, and I honestly think me and him could put something quite really cool on, because he's just a different sort of style for me to wrestle against. He's smaller than guys that I'm used to wrestling, but faster, and does a lot more kind of both technical and like kind of high flying stuff, which I'm very excited to kind of try and combat myself. So I think that'll be phenomenal. And then I've got our debut with Fight for Honor, which is another company, and that's going to be the debut of Born Ready. So that's our first tag match signed up to Wrestle Synergy. So we're excited about that, really excited about that, because again, Synergy are these two massive super athletes that are incredibly talented. Again, you know, I think we can tell a great story there. I think we can put a really good competitive match on. So excited about that. Grand Pro Wrestling will return at some point, and I'll be there. You know, Johnny only has to make a phone call for me, and I'll be there. There's Pinfall Wrestling in Salford that I've wrestled for, and I've been doing a bit of training down at Future Shock Performance Centre.
Okay.
And I've been training with Sam Bailey, who's been brilliant, with me and Rick. We've been doing something together, and we've really enjoyed that. So, you know, hopefully one day we'll be gracing the Future Shock arenas and venues. And then, of course, we also in the last 2 weeks, I think the last 2 weeks, we went and trained down at that Claw Wrestling in Wigan, which is run by the guy who runs TNT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we did a tag seminar. We did a tag seminar, so we went down there and we trained with the Kings of the North.
Yes.
So yeah, unbelievable guys. I mean, phenomenal talents. But really nice fellas. Really nice fellas. Made it dead easy to kind of understand and really got into the psychology of tag team wrestling. So that was a real good eye opener. So again, these are all companies that me, Rick, would love to work for, singly or as a team. But whatever comes along. But that's the aim now, to just try and get in companies we feel like we can add to. We can add to, and we can build our base, but we can help build theirs as well. And that's what I want to do now. And I'm just very, very excited. Very, very excited, Nick. I think it's going to be exciting times. I think certainly after the 19th of July, when the restrictions come to an end, for now or whatever, however they want to put it, I just think people are going to be so excited to get back to live wrestling and and be involved in something that they're passionate about, that they can do as a group again. Because we've all had that taken from us. We've not been able to do things in groups for a long time because of all this that's been going on. And now the opportunity is starting to present itself, and I honestly think British wrestling as a whole will boom because of this now.
Yeah. As well, I generally call it the global bastard on the show. I'm talking about the pandemic. But yeah, as you sort of say, man, it's just going to be, when we get back into the buildings, when we get to sort of stand there, when we get to sort of see the ring, when we hear that entrance music. I've spoken to a few people who have had they've done a few matches already, kind of thing, and they just sort of said, man, they were just stood in the entrance way. They were just like, not to steal a line from Keith Lee, but they were just basking, in just the glory. It was electric. Apparently, it was just, everybody was in such a good mood, off the charts.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Me and Rick went to watch the TNT show, the first TNT show that they did back in Liverpool the other week, and it was phenomenal. Phenomenal, and that was a socially distanced show, and it was still phenomenal. But when we get full crowds back, no matter what we say or no matter what anybody says, it's the crowds that make pro wrestling.
Yeah.
It's the crowds that make pro wrestling. It's the fans and the support and the passionate fan base that make pro wrestling. And we're the performers, and we've got to do our part. Of course we do, but if they're there, it makes it so much easier and better when we do perform. So yeah, I'm just excited to get back now, mate. Really, really excited. I have a lot of ambitions. I want to do things. Like you said before with Rick, I want to win tag team titles with him. Is that a good sign?
That was a good sign, so I did. I was also listening to you as well, but yeah, Kane just got a penalty, so that's 2-1 up.
Lovely. That's all I want.
But yeah, man, titles, like I said, get the tag titles.
I want to win Rick, and I think we will. I want to win singles titles. Before I pack him from wrestling, I want to win titles. I want to win titles because I won titles as a boxer, and I want to add it to my resume that I was competent enough and I learned enough from wrestling that people trusted me to put titles on me. That's what I want to do.
That's how, because well, you've just answered. I was going to sort of mention about titles, and so you've got the correct mindset that obviously when somebody puts a belt on you, that's a massive honour. They're showing you that they trust you.
Yeah.
With the company, with the belt, it's extra weight on your shoulders. Obviously, they think you can carry it. So yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask you about that really, so you've just answered that question for me anyway. Obviously, you've got the right mindset when it comes to titles.
I want to get to a level where, as you say, promoters and fellow wrestlers have enough trust in me to think that I can carry a brand, or I can carry a promotion, or I can whatever. And that's my aim. That is my aim, and I'll do everything I can to make that happen. So, I'm a pretty tenacious guy. When I get my teeth into something, I go for it, and I'm going to go for this.
Yeah, well, I'd like to sort of say, I think, as you touched upon earlier, when you thought about, the global bastard and everything kind of shut down, it would be very easy for you to be like, right, I've dipped my toe in the water, I'm going to walk away. But you wasn't just tenacious, I mean, you bit in and you just cracked on, man, and you've looked at different areas. Like say you're very active on social media, which I think is key nowadays as well for promotion, getting yourself out there.
Of course. We're part-time athletes, full-time salesmen, or we should be. We're selling a product. We're trying to sell a product. So, yeah, that's the game as well. And also, you get so much out of it. You get so much out of that, because you're actually building connections with these fans, so that when they watch you, you're not just some stranger that's come out through a curtain. It's somebody that they know and they're invested in, and they want to see do well, or if they're a heel, they don't want to see him do well. And that's all part of it, and a massive part of the fun for me. A massive part of the fun. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep working, keep grafting, keep my head down, listen, and try and do my very best. That's it.
Yeah, that's all you can do, dude. And without a shadow of a doubt, I think it'll be more than enough. So, I'll let you get going, man, because obviously we've kind of hit the hour mark. It's flown by, dude. Seriously, this has been an absolutely awesome conversation. I don't know if I'll do this straight off the bat, but I would happily invite you back on again down the line once the show's up and running. I've got Ricky coming on in a few weeks, so might get you both back on together down the line.
Definitely. When we've got the tag titles.
That's the one, yes. We'll probably see you in about 2 or 3 months then. So no pressure.
I'll be back.
But no.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Oh god, yeah. Dude, no, seriously, not blowing smoke. It's been an awesome conversation. You've been so cool to talk to. It's just obviously the knowledge.
Thank you for having me on, mate. I massively appreciate it.
No, not an issue. Anything you want to plug whilst I've got you on here? Do you want to plug your socials? Do you want to obviously plug the gym?
Yeah. You want to follow me on Twitter, if you're a wrestling fan and you're interested in anything I'm up to, I'm on RPD Fighter on Twitter. And from there, you'll see me plugging all the promotions I'm working for. So, obviously, Odyssey, Grand Pro, Fight for Honor, Wrestle Island, Pinfall. I don't want to miss anyone out now. But yeah, whoever else I appear for or I'm going to appear for. But you'll see me promote them and push the matches and stuff. And yeah, like I say, the more people who would like to follow me and would honour me in following me, that's what it's about for me now. So, like I say, thank you very much for having me on, Nick, and long may it all continue.
Definitely, dude. And like I say, I have no shadow of a doubt that it's going to be nothing but a success story going forward for yourself and Ricky together and apart as well. So I will bid you adieu, and I'll let you crack on.